Hello and welcome to the Inquiring Cat Does Politics Saturday rant as we get towards the end of March time. Well, my goodness, let's start with Reform UK this week. I mean, really, what are they playing at? Give us a break. I, funnily enough, did predict just a few weeks ago that Mr. Rupert Lowe, MP, now suspended from the party, was going on about immigration far too much and blaming Johnny Foreigner for absolutely everything, and that if he carried on like that, it would do damage to the party, let alone himself. And sure enough, one of the reasons they allege that they have parted company and removed the whip from Mr. Lowe is that he goes on about immigration too much. Of course, the whole thing is absolutely a dog's dinner. Youssef, the party chairman, is supposed to be running a very tight ship because they're paranoid about bad candidates damaging the Reform brand. Apparently, allegedly, Rupert Lowe threatened Mr. Youssef with physical violence, and he's now referred the matter to the police. Well, that was bright, wasn't it? So then it all becomes blown out of all proportion. People who know Rupert Lowe say he would never have done any such thing. He's an absolute gentleman. He denies it all implicitly, of course. And the party have now wheeled out a couple of people who claim he's been abusive to them or bullied them. Well, I've got a bit of a problem with this bullying nonsense, not just in this instance, but across sort of society generally. We've got to the stage where anybody who's a tough boss making demands of their people is now deemed to be just a bully, and then everyone bursts into tears and they run away like a bunch of snowflakes. Oh, for God's sake, grow up, put on a tin hat and get on with life. Where's your resilience? You're supposed to be an adult. Anyway, so now we've got this marvellous situation where they only had 5 MPs, they're down to 4. Rupert Lowe's been suspended and he denies all the allegations against him. And if you have not yet watched the interview I did with Rafe Hadelman-Koo 2 Wednesdays ago, Could Nigel Farage be Prime Minister? One of the things that Rafe points out in that interview is that the big problem Reform have is that Nigel Farage basically likes being in the limelight and isn't prepared to share it with anyone. And Rupert Lowe had become quite visible through all his activities on social media, and added to that, he actually went public and said that Farage should change the way the party was being led, and the very next day he got suspended. So the whole thing is falling in part and imploding, as we all knew it would, of course. And I think this happened to UKIP as well, actually, and I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't for exactly the same reasons. Anyway, we might be about to say cheerio to Reform. If that's the case, who's the winner? And I think that Starmer is the winner from that, because I don't think that Kemi Badenoch's got a grip of the Conservative Party or her brief yet, let alone the whole party. And people will want stability, and Starmer at the moment is doing pretty well on the stability front. Now, of course, Rachel Reeves can upset all of that with her mini budget coming up, which we're all waiting with bated breath to see what's going to happen, and having promised no austerity and no more tax rises, I don't know what the hell she's going to do except austerity. It's about the only thing she can do, but they'll rebadge it, don't worry, because that's what they always do to con you and me, the poor little electorate. Well, the week wouldn't be complete without just commenting slightly on America and the madness of that revolting man in the White House. So what we've heard this week is that any lawyers who worked on any anti-Trump cases, whether they were paid or it was pro bono, are now all banned from government contracts. That's the vengeance of Trump coming into play. Through the closing down of US aid, now they've actually fired all the journalists on Voice of America, which is like the BBC World Service, but for America. And they were literally crying with laughter and cheering in China at this news, and announced that they were going to expand their guess what they call it, Voice of China service all over the world. So we know that China is a propaganda machine, and there's no other way of looking at it. They lock up journalists and all the rest of it if they do things they don't like. So they broadcast to the world their vision of the world, which combined with their Belt and Road initiative, and as I've spoken before, the potential for bribery of people in smaller countries along that strip of waistband around the world, this means that America's influence is just being dismantled bit by bit. What is he? Is he a Russian asset? Or is he just behaving like a Russian asset? or is he a complete idiot? I mean, really, I think it's just getting beyond a joke. And I think those Republicans who still think that he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, you're in denial, mate. You've got denial syndrome. I mean, how much more evidence do you need that this man is not in favour of supporting Western democracy and he's got another agenda? He's also said this week that CNN and MSNBC, because they broadcast things that he doesn't like and that are not true, should be made illegal. Well, what about Fox News? That's always broadcasting stuff that is also not true because it's so partisan, your media in America. He doesn't say they're illegal, but this is what dictators do, of course. They shut down media that they don't like. He's also said that he wants to void the pardons that Biden gave in his closing stages of his presidency on the basis they're not valid because they were signed by auto pen as opposed to being signed personally, physically. But Trump in the past has signed documents with auto pen, and there's nothing in the law that says that a document signed by auto pen is not valid. So we'll see whether or not he manages to overturn those pardons that were issued. The whole thing is just tragic. It's amazing. I'm actually floating through the North Atlantic at the moment, somewhere off the coast of Venezuela, another tin pot dictator with a reprehensible leadership over there. Hopefully he's not got a submarine heading my way. And we will shortly be arriving in Trinidad and Tobago, a calm oasis, I think. We shall see. Anyway, that's the rant for this week. What's the matter with these bloody politicians? They couldn't run a bath. Bye-bye for now.